Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining me today for the Vertical Response for App Exchange demo. My name is Jill, and I'm the Training and Education Manager here at Vertical Response. Just a couple things before we get started. First of all, this demo is about 50 minutes long. There's lots of information to show you today. If you do think of questions along the way, go ahead and type those into the box that you see in your GoToWebinar window, and I'll be more than happy to answer as many of those as I can at the end of the webinar. So with that, let's go ahead and jump into the demo. So this is what you're going to see once you've installed Vertical Response into your Salesforce account. You're going to end up with 3 tabs. VR Email, which is where you're going to spend most of your time. This is where you create emails and lists. VR Postcard, which is where you can send out a postcard through our system. And this is an actual postcard sent through the USPS. It is not an e-card. So if you are interested in doing direct mail, we do offer that. And then VR Statistics. And this is where your email will move once you send it out, and you're going to be able to find the statistics here. So you're going to see who's opening the email, who's clicking on links, things like that. And you're going to be able to update the information from this tab back into your leads and contacts in Salesforce. But first, before you see any of these tabs, you do need to go through the installation. And to do that, you click on the drop-down menu in the top right-hand corner. It probably doesn't say Vertical Response, but whatever it says, click on that. And then come here to where it says Add App Exchange Apps. This is going to take you to the App Exchange. This is where you can get applications that you can install in your Salesforce account. You do need to be the Salesforce admin. So if that's not you, you do need to ask whoever it is to do the install. Vertical Response is always on the most popular tab here, but you can also do a search. And this is going to bring up 2 versions of our installation. We have Vertical Response for App Exchange, and then we have Vertical Response Group Edition. If you are using Group Edition, you must install this version. The reason is that there are some slight differences between Group Edition and the other editions of Salesforce, and so this older version that we have won't work with the Group Edition. Anyone can install Group Edition. The only difference is it's missing some dashboards. But otherwise, everything you see today, you're going to have as part of the Group Edition. So once you've done the installation, go ahead and come back in here, and you should see your VR tabs. So to get started, let's kind of go over the stuff that you can do here on the VR Email tab. So as I said, this is where you're going to be creating new emails and also drafts. So any emails that you've created but you haven't sent out, you're going to be able to access these here under View Drafts. New List is where you're going to create a new mailing list, and you can also view any list that you've created already in the past. And then you can see the statistics for the last 5 emails you've sent out. To see all of them, you would go to the VR Stats tab, but the last 5 will show up here, and you can get an overview of how they went. And at the bottom, we have some resources and tools for you. The Watch Demos link will take you to our How to Do Everything website, which is our help site. So after you've seen this demo today, if you forget how to put an image in an email or how to create a list, you can go watch a video. They're all like 2 minutes long. They're not that long. Or there's a text tutorial to walk you through it, and there's lots of information there for you. Community is our VR marketing lounge, and this is where people who are using our system can go and ask questions of each other. It's basically a forum. It's free, so you can certainly go and join. There's about 10,000 members in the Marketing Lounge. And there's even a specific area for Salesforce users. So you can go and talk to other people using Salesforce about email marketing, about Salesforce, tips and tricks, things like that. We do have a blog specific for our Salesforce users. And this has lots of information about email marketing and also tips on using Salesforce. Media Library, I'm going to show you in just a second. Marketing Calendar is a calendar like you've seen before. So this is a place that you can track emails that you're planning to send or that you have already sent, plus any personal events or holidays. We also have events, and this is something new in our system. And events is a way for you to manage any tickets that you may be selling or giving away for an event that you're having. This is a tool that has templates, so you can set up a web page for people to come to sign up to be at your event or to get a ticket. It's free to test out, so I definitely encourage you to go and check that out. And it makes it really easy for you to manage any tickets you might have. Recycle bin is where lists or emails go when you delete them. So if you realize you need to get them back, you can do that. So let's go take a look at the media library since we're here. So the media library is where you're going to store images for your email campaign. So if you have like a logo, for example, you can upload that or any images that you want to use in the body of your email. If you click upload images in this blue menu over here on the left-hand side, you're going to be able to browse your computer and upload a JPEG or a GIF. Once it's uploaded, we do have image editing tools you can use to make any edits to it. Now, if there's an image you want to use in your email, but you don't have it, you have an idea of what you want, we do have a gallery of images. It's in this same menu over here on the left. And we have about 75,000 free images that are available for you to use. We have them broken down into different categories here to make it a little bit easier to find what you're looking for. But you can also do a search. So I'm going to search for San Francisco because this is where we are. When you do a search, our system's going to look through all those images and pull whatever falls into those categories. You'll probably get a couple pages of images. And then each of these thumbnails, if you mouse over them, you're going to get a bigger image to get an idea of what it's going to look like. Now you'll notice that there's two different sizes here, small and large. The large is just a little big for the emails, and you can use the image editing tools to make it smaller if you like, but generally speaking, the small one's probably the right size. So there's my picture of the Golden Gate Bridge. Now you notice as I mouse over these images, little icons pop up. If you click on the pencil, that's going to bring up the image editing tool. And we've partnered with Picnic to give you these tools to edit your images. And there's a variety of things that are available for you to use here. I'm just going to go through a couple of them. So first of all, they have all kinds of things up here that you can do with your image. And then they also have some basic editing over here. Some of the main ones are crop. So if you wanted to just have the Golden Gate Bridge in this picture, for example, you could crop out all of this. You can rotate your image, so if for some reason you needed to flip your image, you could do that. And resize, which is probably the most commonly used tool in here. Now, although I used the small size from the image gallery, it's still a little big for my email, so I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. And you'll notice this Keep Proportions box is checked by default. This is to keep your image from getting distorted when you change one of the sides. So I'm going to change the width, and you're going to notice that the height is changed automatically for me. There we go. I'm going to click Apply to save that. Once you're done editing, just click Save and Return to Library. And this is going to add this edited image into your library. And you're going to get two options here. First of all, you can overwrite the image that was there originally. So I'm just going to have the edited version if I choose that. Or you can save it as a new image. So you'll have the original image plus the one that was just edited. I just need one, so I'm going to go ahead and leave that default. But you have two choices. And there we go. There's my picture of the Golden Gate Bridge. So let's go back to the VR email tab and take a look at the lists. So I'm going to go over here to where it says New List. And I have three options that pop up on this page. Depending on the version of Salesforce that you're using, you may or may not have this second option. Not all Salesforce accounts have the Campaigns tab. If you see the Campaigns tab, though, you should have the option to use a campaign as a mailing list. So the first option here is create a new list of leads and contacts. So basically what you're going to do is set up a query that's going to pull in leads and contacts from your Salesforce account and create a list that you're going to send your email to. The second option, as I said, not everyone will see, but if you do see the Campaigns tab, what you'll do is set up a campaign in Salesforce. So once you set up your campaign, set it to active when you're creating it. Then you're going to run a report in Salesforce, attach that report to the campaign, and then you're going to use this tool to bring it over into Vertical Response to use as a mailing list. This third option, import an external mailing list, is an interesting one. Basically, what you're doing with this option is uploading a list into Vertical Response. This list is completely bypassing Salesforce, so you will not be creating any new leads or contacts because it is not going to Salesforce. Also, if you mail to this list, you're going to see all of the statistics on the VR Stats tab, so you're going to see all the opens, clicks, bounces, all of that information. But because this list did not originate in Salesforce, you will not be able to update the statistics back to the leads and contacts. Even if those addresses exist here, because this list was done separately, it won't update. It's just, anyone can use this. It's just important to know that it isn't actually impacting your Salesforce account. And a lot of people like to send out emails that don't impact Salesforce. Maybe they're doing something outside of the normal business that they're doing. Maybe they're sending a holiday invitation for their work and they don't want it updated in Salesforce. There's a lot of reasons why people wouldn't need that information in Salesforce. So this option is here. Just remember that this one is not going to update anything in Salesforce. But we're not going to worry about that right now. Let's take a look at how to set up a query. So I'm going to click Create a New List of Leads and Contacts. I'm going to take a sip of coffee while that loads. So when this page comes up, you have the first option here is the data source. So you have a lot of options here. We have all leads, all contacts, all leads and contacts, my leads, my contacts, and my leads and contacts. So I'm going to do all leads and contacts. So now I have queries for both leads and contacts that I can set up here. So I'm going to start with the leads. When I click on the drop-down menu, I'm going to see the options that I can use to set up the query. These are the standard fields that come with your Salesforce account. And this is the information that's in the lead detail section, so the top area of your lead, plus any custom fields that you've added in there. So you'll notice we have some that we've set up in here, VR employee and varietal interest. You also can query on owner fields as well. So that's going to be the first thing I set up for my query is owner, oops, I want owner full name. I'm going to say equals, and then I'm going to click on the little magnifying glass, and I'm going to select these two people. Now I can continue to add filters to my query. So if, for example, I wanted to have a company name, I could do that. So now my mailing list would be all of the leads that are owned by one of these two people, and then I can specify a specific company or companies that I want in my list. If I was having an event, for example, I could pull a list based on where people live. So if I wanted to invite people in a specific region, I could do that. And again, you can keep adding filters to your queries so that you come up with the information that you need in your mailing list. The more parameters you add to your query, the more specific and targeted your mailing list is going to be. And so the smaller it's going to be. You're not going to be pulling in all of your addresses if you start adding this information. Now, I have a test account here, so I have limited data. So I'm going to take some of these out. Now, under contacts, it's the same thing. When I click on the drop-down menu, these are the standard fields that come with your Salesforce account. Again, this is the contact detail section, the top area when you're looking at a contact, plus your custom fields that you've added to that area. And since contacts are associated with accounts, you can also query account level details as well as owner fields, which I'm gonna set the same query for my contacts as I did for my leads. And so I'm going to select these two people as the owners. Again, if I wanted to search by company name for contact, I would go to account name because that is what the account level information is. It's the company name. That's generally how it's stored. And again, if I wanted to have people who lived in a specific region, I could pull that data in, and again, I can keep adding more filters. So as you keep adding, again, you're going to have a more specific mailing list that you're mailing to. So I'm going to, again, pull some of these out because I have limited information, but you can see how you can add more information to the query just by adding another filter. So I'm going to go ahead and click Next Step. And the next page that comes up is going to allow me to select the data I want to have in the vertical response list. So the query I just set up is leads and contacts. If it was just leads or just contacts, I'd have one column here instead of two, but I have both, so they're both here. Our system is automatically going to bring over the email address that's in your lead or contact information. We need an email address to send an email, so we'll automatically bring that over. But now you get to select the rest of the information that you want to include in the mailing list. So if you wanted the name of your contact or lead, you can select that. You just need to check these little boxes. You could include a company name, and you can even create your own field if you want. So if I wanted to bring over my owner names, these might be my salespeople's names to use, I can do that. I can create the name of the field and then check the little box, and this will bring it over. Now, there's a couple of reasons you want to bring this information over. First of all, it can be part of the reporting once your email goes out, so you can get some more specific information when you're looking at who's opening your email. Also, anything that's in your mailing list can be merged into your email to personalize it. So this could have your email say something like, "Hi Bob" or "Hi Sally," and you probably see that a lot in your own email. But anything in the list can be pulled in. So if you wanted to pull in things like recent purchases, if you have a loyalty program, you could merge that type of information in. If you're having an event and they signed up to attend a specific part of the event, you can merge that in. Anything that's in the list can be merged into the email, and I'll show you how to do that in just a few minutes. Once you select the data you want in your list, click Next Step. And that's going to bring you to a page where you're going to see how the query is working. So on this page, it's going to tell you what the parameters are, and it's going to display up to 200 leads and 200 contacts from your query. So if your list is 40,000 records, for example, instead of having you sit here and wait for our system to pull all that data, we're just going to give you a sample. It's just 200 of the leads and contacts on this page. If everything looks good, go ahead and click through, and our system will finish creating the list for you. So you're not going to see everything on this page. Mine is a small list, so I'm going to see it all. Now, there's a couple of things that are going on this page. So first of all, we're going through your leads and contacts to see what falls into the queries that you set up. There's a couple things we're looking at. Your leads and contacts have to have an email address, and the email address has to be in the standard field that comes with your Salesforce account. You cannot create a custom field for the email address and have our system bring it over. We can bring it over as just a basic field, but our system won't know it's an email address unless it's in the default email address that comes with your Salesforce account. The other thing we're looking at is if you've been mailing through Salesforce already and you have any unsubscribes, we're going to honor those. So if any of your leads or contacts have the email opt-out box checked, we will not be bringing those over. So I'm going to go ahead and click Next Step, and this is going to let me save my list. A couple options here. You can just save your list. You could save the query. So if this is something you do on a regular basis, you can save it so you don't have to go through all those steps. Or you can save both of them, and that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to call it the date that I think it is. I think it's the 12th. I could be wrong. So you can call your list anything you like. Your recipients won't see this. This is just for you to manage the data that's going to be in the list. You do have the option at this step to take the list you've created with this query and add it to a campaign in Salesforce. I'm not going to do that, but you can set up the campaign in Salesforce. Again, you need to set it to active when you're creating it so that our system will see it. And then you can click on this drop-down menu, and you'll be able to select one of the campaigns that you want to add this list to. But I'm not doing that right now. And then you can also save the query. Again, if this is something that you do on a regular basis, you can save it. I'm just calling it the date. You can call it whatever. So I'm going to click Create List and Save Query. My query was saved, and so is my list. So let's go take a look at the list. So here's my list. Oh, I got the date right. That's great. Sometimes I don't know that. So the list that I just created has a list type called Salesforce Mass Email. This is important to note. You'll also note on this page there's one called Salesforce Campaign. So there's two different list types created depending on how you set up the list. If you use our query tool, it's called a mass email, Salesforce Mass Email. If you use the campaign tool from Salesforce, it's called a Salesforce Campaign. Once you send your email out and update the statistics back to your leads and contacts, this information is going to update in different places on the leads and contacts. So it's important to know that there are two different list types and two different places they're going to update. So let's go back to the VR email tab. And we're going to go and take a look at setting up a campaign. I'm going to click New List. This time I'm going to click Salesforce Campaign. So for this one, what you've already done is set up a campaign in Salesforce, run a report, and attach that report to the campaign. So basically what you're going to do is bring this campaign over into vertical response as a new list. Again, the campaign has to be set to active, so when you're setting it up, make sure you check the little active box, and then our system will be able to see it. And then you can select any of these to use. So I'm going to click on this one. And it's going to drop me into the exact same steps we just went through. So this only has leads, so you'll notice I only have leads here. Again, I can select the data I want to include in my mailing list. Then I can come down here to the bottom and click Next Step. It's going to give me the preview, and then I can click Next and save my list. So it's basically just skipping the first part that we went through before. So you just saw all of that a second ago, so I think you know how to do that. So now we have an image and we have a list. Let's go create a new email. So this is going to drop you into the workflow to set up your email. And we're going to basically walk you through just creating, designing, and sending out your email in these 5 steps. This first page is essentially all the things required by the CAN-SPAM law. The first box is actually going to be the name of your email, and you can call this anything you want. Again, your recipients will not see this, so you call it whatever you want. Our system's going to call it the time and date that you set it up. You call it whatever works for you. These next 2 fields, the from label and subject line, probably the 2 most important pieces in your email. And you're probably thinking, Jill, what about my awesome content? And yes, your content is very important. And of course, it's what your recipients are wanting to get. But in order for them to see your fabulous content, they have to open it. And that's what these 2 fields are going to do. So you want to spend a little time thinking about these. The from label should be your company name. CAN-SPAM law says it should be the sender of the email. That should be your company, mostly because most of your recipients will know a company name before they know a person's name. So before they know the name of your CEO or before they know a name of a salesperson, they'll know your company name. Our system's going to pull this in. You'll notice I already have that set up because in my account information section here in the top right-hand corner, I already have a company name filled in. And so we'll pull in the company name automatically for your from label. Subject line is what gets your recipients to open the email. So once they know who's sending it and they know they want to see what you're sending, the subject line will get them to want to open it. So it should be something that's catchy and interesting to your recipients. The CAN-SPAM law says that it has to pertain to the content of the email. So you can't do anything tricky to get people to open the email. Your subject line has to have something to do with the email. And the third thing to keep in mind with subject lines is that they have to be fairly short because most email programs truncate at about 40 to 50 characters. So you have a pretty limited area to get somebody's attention and make them want to open it. I'm going to type something in here. So you'll notice as I type, the system will keep track of the number of characters, and once you get to 50, it's going to turn red, just to let you know that some people may not see all of that info. At the bottom of your email, we're going to add a footer, and again, these are things required by CAN-SPAM. You do have to have an unsubscribe, and our system is going to manage that for you. So if somebody clicks unsubscribe, that's going to be part of the reporting that you see. It will also be marked in your list. And since you're using Salesforce, once you click the Update Statistics button after your email's gone out, the email opt-out box on your leader contact will also be checked if they've unsubscribed. So that will be marked in Salesforce as well. Postal address is the sender of the email, so usually your company address. Again, this is filled out for me because up here in account information, I have a postal address, and our system pulls that in automatically. What I would recommend before you send out your next email is come in here, fill in all the info, and this page will mostly be taken care of for you already. The only thing you'll have to do is come up with a great subject line, and since everything else is done, it'll give you a little extra time to do that. If you don't have a postal address, you have to fill it in here every time, and you can't move on without a postal address. The last box is a reply to email. And this is where any responses to your email campaign are going to be sent. So if someone hits reply and they have a question, we're going to send it to whatever address you have here. So make sure it's going to someone who's going to answer the questions. So this page is going to give you the option of which email editor you want to use. Email Wizard is the one we recommend for everyone. It's a basic templating system. We have about 700 templates in our system you can use. There's some drag and drop formatting, and then there's a toolbar that works kind of like using Word. The email canvas is a more sophisticated version of the wizard. It has the same 700 templates available, but you have a little more flexibility in what you can do with the templates. You still have a toolbar that you can use, so it's easy to make changes. And if you know HTML, you can actually access that in the email templates. You can go and make changes in the HTML, but you don't have to know HTML for the canvas. Freeform HTML is for advanced users because this one you do need to know HTML. There's no templates on this one. You're just going to write your own code and then copy and paste it into a box, and our system will render that for you. Text only is just a plain text email. There's no images, which means we can't track opens, but we can track links, so make sure you put a link in there. And the last option, again, because you're using Salesforce, you have a little bit other different options here. If you've been sending emails out through your Salesforce account and there's a template you've been using, you can use that in your vertical response account. Just click this link that says Import a Salesforce template, and our system will bring that over for you. One thing to note, the templates do need to be in a public folder. They cannot be in your personal folder or in an unfiled folder. We're not going to check those places. It does have to be public. But once you put them in a public folder, we'll be able to see them and bring them over. The templates from Salesforce populate into the Canvas tool if you're using that. But I'm going to use the wizard, so I'm going to come over here and take a look at the wizard. So this is going to drop you right into where you can select a template to use. Like I said, we have about 700 templates, so there's a variety of categories here. There's a couple pages, and each category has a bunch of templates available. Now, depending on how much you want to have control over what the email is going to look like is going to determine which template you're going to use. If you're trying to make an email look just like your website, for example, you want to select one of them that's, say, fully editable. With the fully editable ones, you can change the image, you can change all the background colors. So all you're really going to be doing with the fully editable ones is finding the layout that you like. This has a narrow column on the left and a wider one on the right. This one has a text box at the top and then 2 columns. So you're just going to look for what you like because you can change everything else. If you don't want to spend that much time on your email, you don't have to. Just select a template that has what you want. So I'm going to select this one, and then I'm going to click Select Template, and it drops it into the area to make edits. So here's my template. Now on this one, this image is going to stay here because it's not fully editable, and this color. But this background color I can change, and I'll show you how to do that in just a minute. So as I said, there's some drag and drop formatting, and that's what this is. These are content blocks, and you can drag them over here. And once you have them in here, you can move them around. So these are all content blocks. So I'm going to get rid of this one here because I don't need it. All the templates already have content blocks in them, so you don't even have to add them if you don't want to, but you can make all the edits you want to them. So you can move them around with the gray bar. You can grab them from the menu and bring them over. You can even put a horizontal line if you want to break up different sections. So you have a lot of control over what this is going to look like. Once you have this set up, you can start typing your information in here, Or if you've written it someplace else, I would recommend that you use the Paste from Word button to pull out any unusual formatting that could come if you're using that program to write your text. I'm just going to show you a couple things you can do with this. It works like anything you've probably used before to edit any text, but you can bold, italicize, underline, strike through. You can change the color of the font if you like. You can change the alignment. You can add bullets. You can change the size of your font, and you can even change your font style. Now, if there's a specific font you want to use in your email, or size or color, instead of highlighting each section and then making those changes in the drop-down, you can do it for the whole email all at one time. So if you come up here to the top and click where it says Overall Style, you're going to be able, under body text, to set up the font for your whole email. So if I click Georgia, I now have Georgia for my whole email. I don't have to go through and highlight each section. Size, I can set up for my whole email, and also the color. So if I wanted the text to be a certain color, I can put that here. And this is a color picker, so you could go through and select a specific color if you wanted. Heading text and article title text are for these content block sections. And content box on this email, or on this template, is the background color you can change. So this kind of tan color, I can change it. I can just click on it, and this color picker comes up, and I can select a color that I like. So that kind of goes with that pink book there. If everything looks good, click OK. If something went terribly awry, click Revert to Defaults, and you can start over again, and all of those changes will be gone. So just a couple other things. It's easy to put links in, and I definitely recommend that you put links in your email. More than one. Your recipients need lots of opportunities to get to your website to do whatever you're trying to get them to do. If you're trying to get them to make a purchase, sign up for an event, make a donation, if you're a nonprofit, whatever you're trying to get them to do, they need lots of chances to do it. Give them a lot of links. So I'm going to highlight this and click on this little icon. It looks like a chain. Type in the URL. Click Submit, and this is going to be set up as a link. When my email goes out, the person who gets this email, or all the people who get this email, will be able to click on this. So we're going to set it up as a clickable link. Plus, we're going to track the clicks on this link. So you're going to know who is clicking on the links in your email. You can also set the images up to be clickable, and again, I would recommend that you do that. Most people know they can click on a picture to go somewhere. So I'm going to click on that, pretend it's pretty. It's the same icon as before. Type in, I can't even spell. There we go. Click Submit, and the image will also be clickable. Speaking of images, we have our picture of the Golden Gate Bridge to put in the email. And this is a placeholder here for an image, so obviously I could put an image here. If I didn't want one here, I'd have to delete this really ugly picture. But you can put an image anywhere. So if I wanted an image in here, for example, I could click here, and then come up here to where it says Image, and I can go into my, I can go to my library and grab that picture of the Golden Gate Bridge that I put in there just a few minutes ago. Now, clicking on the image is going to bring up the image properties window, and there's a couple things to go over here. First of all, you have one last chance to change the size of your image, and just like using the picnic tool, we have the Keep Proportions button here, and it's automatically checked. So if I change my size a little bit, my height will be automatically taken care of for me. Alignment has to do with where the image is in relation to the text. So right now there's no alignment and it sort of floats over the text. I can select right, and that's going to pull the image to the right, and then the text will wrap around that. Or I can pull the image to the left, and the text will wrap around that. Now, one thing that you can probably see here is that my text is bumping into my image, which makes it hard to read. So I'm going to put a little space around my image, and that's what the spacing is for here. And there we go. Now I have a little space so my text doesn't bump into the image and my readers can easily understand what I'm writing. The last thing in this window is a really interesting and pretty important thing. This is the alt text box. And the alt text was originally created for people who are using screen readers. So if they're visually impaired and they're using a screen reader, the screen reader would read the alt text and the person would know what the image was about. The important thing to you and to your recipients is that the alt text is what your recipient will see if their email program is blocking images. And as you probably know, most of them have as a default setting images to be blocked, and then the recipient has to turn them on. So instead of having your recipient seeing a broken image icon, you can fill in the alt text to give them a little more information about what's going on in your email. If you're having an event, you can include that information. If you're having a sale, you can put that in there. I could call this Golden Gate Bridge because it is a picture of the Golden Gate Bridge, and if it's something really important to my email, I could totally call it that. Or I could say something like, click here for more great sales info. So if the email program is blocking images, they're going to see this instead of a broken image icon. So it's just one more area you can reach your recipients with. So there's my picture of the Golden Gate Bridge. So one more thing, and I'll show you how to launch. We include social sharing icons in the email, and this will allow your recipients to share your email on their Facebook, Twitter, or LinkedIn pages. So that will be an opportunity for you to let your readers who are interested in what you're sending them share the information in their own social networks. It's going to spread the word about your company or organization, and it's free. You don't have to pay anything for this, and you're definitely going to be reaching people who are probably not already on your mailing list or receiving your email. So it's a great way to spread the word. Once everything looks good, go ahead and click Next. And you're going to come to a page where you're going to test your email. So first of all, you're going to preview it. This is what it looks like. Here's my picture of the Golden Gate Bridge and my link. Our system's automatically making a text backup. You can go in and edit this on the design step. You do have to have a text backup. When you send the email out, or when we send it out, your recipient will only get one version, whichever one they're set up to get. On this step, you're going to see two. You see the text version and the graphical version. At the bottom of the page, you need to send a test, and again, you're going to see two versions when you do the test, but your recipient will only get one. You can create different lists to send your emails to, and you can add up to 10 addresses. Now these are just test emails. It says test in the subject line, and you're going to get 2 of them. So make sure you're only sending these to people who are going to give you feedback. Don't send the test emails to your actual recipients. I'm going to click Next. This is where you can select your mailing list. So here's the one that I set up today, but you can select more than one list. So if there was a couple of them that you wanted to send, you can do that. Our system's automatically going to pull out duplicates on this step, so if someone's on all 3 lists, they're only going to get 1 email. And then on the last step, a couple things. First of all, you get to schedule when you want your email to go out. The default is as soon as possible, but you can change this. There's some drop-down menus and some shortcuts. And you can also use this little calendar, which is my favorite way. You can schedule your email to go out up to 4 months in advance. So I could send it out in January if I wanted to. You also have the ability to share your email on your own social sharing page or your own social pages. So if you want to post on Twitter or Facebook, oops, that one's not linked, you can do that. If you want to set it up, there will be a link here that says link accounts when you go to launch it. I'll also show you later another page that you can set it up. So there's 2 places you can do it, but you can set it up here. Basically, what our system will do is pull in your subject line, and then we're going to include a short URL. So if you're posting to Twitter, it doesn't take up all the character space. So the short URL is going to be the hosted version of your email. So people on Twitter or Facebook will be able to see your email. They can click on the links and go to your site and do whatever you want them to do. Again, it's just free. It just helps spread the word to people who may not be on your mailing list. We do have an integration with Google Analytics. So if you are using that to track what's going on your website, vertical response would be part of the tracking, traffic sources, sorry. You would see vertical response listed there as people who are sending others to your website. Down here, we're going to tell you how many people you're mailing to. So I did have some duplicates on my list. I'm going to be mailing to 251 people. In order to pay for your email to go out, you do need to have email credit. An email credit is like a stamp. So for every email address in your mailing list, you need one email credit. So I have a list of 251 records. I need 251 email credits to send it out. The credits are good for a year, so you can purchase those in advance, and so the more you purchase, the lower the per email price is. And since you're using Salesforce, if you have multiple users, you can link them to share the credits. So you can make one purchase and everyone can use those credits. If you are interested in that, just contact our support team. They need to know the email addresses for the accounts, and they can link those up for you. One other note, if you are a nonprofit, and we usually have a couple on the call, we do offer a special deal. If you are a 501c3 nonprofit, we offer 10,000 free email credits each month. And all you need to do is go to our website, verticalresponse.com, and click on pricing, and you'll see where the information for nonprofits is. And you just need to fill in a form there, and if everything looks good, we will put you on our nonprofit program. One last thing before I launch this. Once you're ready to send out your email, if the list that you've created is a Salesforce mass email list, which mine was, you will be updating activity history on your leads and contacts. You will also be updating a custom object that's put in your leads and contacts when you do the installation, and that's called the VR email history. So once I click send email, VR email history will be updated, and activity history will be updated if you're mailing to a mass email list. If the list type you're mailing to is campaign, the default setting in Salesforce is sent even if you haven't created an email. Once a record is attached to a campaign, it'll say sent as the default status, so it will already have that information there. So activity history will be updated at this point for the mass email list. There we go. My email has gone out. Let's go to the VR Stats tab and take a look at what we have going on over here. So these are the emails I've sent out. If I want to update the information back to the leads and contacts in Salesforce, I just need to select the email I want to update. I can do one, I can do all of them, whatever, it doesn't really matter. Click Update Statistics, and we're going to send all that data to the leads and contacts in Salesforce. There we go. So if we click on the name of the email here, we can get some more ideas of what's going on. This will give you an overview of how your email's gone. So you're going to see the opens, clicks, bounces, and unsubscribes here. We're going to give you some reporting on those social sharing icons that are at the top of your email. Now this email didn't have social sharing attached to it, but if somebody liked the email and posted it on Facebook, Twitter, or LinkedIn, we would track that. So you're going to also be able to see who on your mailing list is most active with Facebook or Twitter, which can give you an idea of how you should be interacting with those social media platforms. We're also going to tell you which links are being tracked and then how many times they were clicked on. And at the bottom of the page, we're going to give you an overview of the last emails that you have sent out, and you can compare your email marketing here. You can also set up your own comparison as well if you're doing an A/B split test or something like that. In the Email Actions menu, click on Download List here on the left-hand side, and this is where you're going to see more specific info. So you're going to see who's opening the email, and you're going to see the time and date that they open. Who's clicking on a link, again, the time and date. We can tell you who's using Facebook, Twitter, or LinkedIn. We can give you all this information about bounces or non-responders as well. So there's a lot of information here. You also have one more chance to update your own social sharing network here. Again, it's the subject line plus a short URL so they can see the email. So let's go take a look at this in Salesforce. So we sent our email out. We just updated the statistics. This is what it's going to look like in Salesforce. So this is a lead. This is the lead detail section up here. This is the information we use for the query when you're setting up your mailing list. So these are all the fields we can query on. This is the email opt-out box, not checked. And this is the email address, the default email field. So he's still mailable, he hasn't unsubscribed. Down here is where all the interesting stuff is. So first of all, VR email history is added to your leads and contacts when you do the installation. And this is where you're going to see the information about the email. So you're going to see if your lead or contact is clicking on a link, if they're opening, bouncing, unsubscribing, and what links they're clicking on. If you click on the name of the email, you're going to see the same information up here, and you're also going to see the email that was sent to them. This information is available to anybody using your Salesforce account. They do not have to log into the VR tabs. They don't have to see VR tabs to see the data in Salesforce. So you can just have a couple people in your company using VR, and everyone can see the responses to the email campaigns. So again, VR email history. This information is updated no matter how you create your list, whether it's a campaign or a mass email list. VR email history will always be updated. If the list type that you have is a Salesforce campaign list, campaign history will also be updated as well as VR email history. And campaign history will show the last action your recipient took. So this person opened, if they then clicked on a link, and I updated the statistics, opened would change to clicked. There can only be one status here, but obviously to click a link, they had to open it. So you'll see a little bit of information in campaign history. Activity history is updated if it's a mass email list. So VR email history plus activity history if it's a mass email list. Activity history basically will tell you when the email was sent and what it was called. There's not as much information with the activity history. But no matter how you create your list, VR email history will always be updated, and then one of these two depending on your list. Let's go take a look at contacts. They're the same, but we'll go take a look at them anyway. Again, contact detail up here. This is the information we're using for the query. Here's the email opt-out. Here's the email address. Again, we have VR email history down here so we can see what this person's doing. And then campaign history for the Salesforce campaign list. Activity history for the Salesforce mass email list. I know I just said that like 1,000 times, but this gets really confusing to a lot of people once the email's gone out, so I'd like to reiterate that a lot. If things aren't updating where you think they should be, it's probably because you're thinking your campaign should be in activity history, but your campaign will be in campaign history. VR email history will update for any of those lists that you mail to. So one more thing here in Salesforce, lots of messages in here. We do have built-in reports in Salesforce as well. So again, it doesn't matter what version of Salesforce you're using, these reports will be here. So if you wanted to run a report based on the information about how your recipients are reacting to your emails, you can do that. These are already built in. So you could run a report based on the contacts who've opened your email, for example. That's already a built-in report. This is the email that was sent. These are the people who opened the email. Here's the next email. These are the people who opened that email. So you can see all of this information. The important thing about this is a report in Salesforce. Anything you would do to a Salesforce report, you can do to this. So if you click the Customize button, you can come in here and you can set it up. For example, if you want to see the people who opened your email in the last 3 months, you could do that. If you wanted to see people who opened your email from a specific company, you can add that. So any information you would normally pull from a report in Salesforce, you can use with this because this is a Salesforce report. I'm going to do one more thing on VR email and then I'll start taking your questions. So I talked a lot about the account information, so I'm just going to show you this really quickly. This is where you can fill in your postal address and your company name, and our system will pull that information in for that first step in creating your email. You can also set up social sharing from here. And also Google Analytics is in this area as well, just so you know. So I can see there's questions. I will start taking questions now.